everyone went through this phase where they were interested in boyfriends and interested in being popular. I was like, you guys disgust me. I'm going to go hang out with my mom. And when you guys get a better head on your shoulders, we can reconvene.
Hello, and welcome to the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast. I am your host, your roast coming queen, a girl who tried to do red under eyeliner once, and then her teacher asked her if her eyes were bleeding, Alise Morales. And with us today, guys, we have such a funny comedian. She is an author. She is one of the co-hosts of the Guys We Fucked podcast. But before all of that, she was a graduate of Union High School. It's Corinne Fisher.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi. I feel like I should come in like my mascot uniform from high school, which was a farmer. That's a farmer.
Were you literally the Union farmer?
No, Jesus Christ, no. I was a baton twirler, so I was busy twirling while I just think it's like out of all the mascots one could have, and it's not like we lived in a farm town. I mean, you know, hundreds of years ago it was, but it's like very close to New York City. It's not.
So was the mascot literally just like a farmer
in overalls with a pitchfork? Would run around. Yeah.
I feel like I've never heard of that.
Yep. Nope. You know, we're unique. That's good. So
I mean, that is unique. It is also funny to think about like a farmer fighting like a bear.
Right. Yeah. You're
Usually,
gonna lose almost every battle because it's human to animal. So
yeah, exactly. And even the other human mascots are usually like the warriors,
right?
And someone who is fighting someone.
Yeah, exactly. This is just a regular farmer, no super special powers or nothing.
And so are you from from Jersey, New York area? You said it's like near the city?
It's like 35 minutes outside of New York City. Yeah.
Okay.
It's very close. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I love that choice. So I always love to start out by asking, like, what flavor of high school was Union High School?
It was very multicultural, honestly. So it was kind of like those, 90s movies like Can't Hardly Wait and stuff, where you had actual like specific groups like the jocks, the weirdo goth kids, the kids who would just smoke outside on an island, meaning an island of concrete, not an actual tropical island, and theater kids and all these kind of sections. I, as usual, was not part of any of the groups, though. I've gone pretty much throughout my life with never being a part of a group, even though I am heavily like involved in a group. So I know before we started recording, you were like, I get a theater school vibe. Yeah, I was in all the plays and like leads in most of them, but I was not really welcome. I was like okayed in that group, but I also didn't want to be in it because, I don't want to be a theater kid. And the same thing with comedy. Like, I am a comedian, but I'm not like always hanging out with comedians. My two best friends are still regular human beings.
So you were like, my involvement with the theater group is professional. It's not social.
Yeah, just throughout my life, I love to be involved in things. I love doing things, but I was there for the art, not for the camaraderie. Mm-hmm. And that theme would travel throughout my life.
Well, I would say that the camaraderie of the theater kids is like, you really have to be down to be into that. Otherwise, it's not a space you want to be in.
Yeah, it's also like a little bit desperate, a little bit thirsty. I'm never going to change anything about me to be a part of a group. Therefore, I'll probably never be a part of a group. But
all right. Well, like, since we're on the subject, let's pull up. I think your first photo is actually a play photo. Mm-hmm, let's take a look at this one. What play are we working with here?
So this is actually, I was so into theater that not only would I do both the straight play and the musical during the school year, I would go to a summer camp where I would do an additional play. So this is part of the summer camp.
Okay.
And mostly only girls would do this one. So this is an almost all female production of Guys and Dolls, in which I played Nicely, who sings, famously "Sit Down, You're Rocking the Boat."
On the one hand, you're doing all these shows. I imagine and especially since your theater program you said was like really good, I imagine that's taking a decent amount of your time. So who was your social group? Like, who, you said, you know, your friends, your closer friends are the normal non-comedian people. Now, who were your close friends then?
I had 3 best friends who I basically took throughout high school with me. And 2 of them are featured, I think, in that photo that you have where we're having like boas and we look like we're at a formal event.
Gorgeous. Yes.
I'm, you know, but whether it's just my personality or because I'm a Libra, I am like fiercely loyal. So the friends, like, so the girl on the left, my left now, my right in that photo is the dark-haired girl. Her name is Paula. And she's been my best friend since like end of 6th grade until now. You know, I'm currently 35. Paula just had a baby. She's married. We're still best friends. And so that kind of theme goes up through my life. The other girl with the curly hair, her name's Kelly Ann, and she was another one of my best friends. And then there was another girl named Vicky who wasn't part of this little performance on this day, but was part of our crew. And then one other girl actually named Tracy, who I'd been friends with since high school. But in that photo, we were at my Sweet 16, and we had that group of 3 was called the STIs, which of course stood for sexy, I'm sorry, this STDs. I was making it too progressive.
I'm sorry. We have to go back. It was before
my progressive sexuality brain just edited that for me. But back in the day, so we were called the STDs, which stood for Sexy Trio of Divas. And we had done a performance at my Sweet 16 of Salt N Peppa's None of Your Business. And that's why they had matching boas. It was my Sweet 16, so I was in the gown. But that's what we were up to. And we did a lot of like, so we were all these girls were also in the plays with me, but we kind of all just like hung to ourselves and hung out together on weekends. And we would like make weird movies in my backyard. And you know, Kelly Ann's uncle owned a motel in Wildwood that we would go to every year for a week for free. So
I was a Wildwood girl. My family always did Wildwood for the summer. I fucking love it.
That's what was happening in that part of my life. And those were my friends. I'm always someone to have like a couple really close friends, never a big group of friends.
A couple things that I'm getting from this picture. Number 1, this is a sexy trio of divas. So like you nailed it with the name. Number 2, did anyone else perform at your Sweet 16 or did you just do a performance?
It was, the theme was Las Vegas. So one of my friends dressed up as Elvis and also performed like, I think an Elvis medley. And I think that was it for the actual performances. And then we had, you know, like Vegas style games and kind of dances and stuff.
So did you have like a after school job, summer job?
No, it was stuff that I had saved from like basically like every birthday, every, you know, everything that happened, I would get like a little check here, a little check there. And I just always saved it all. I was a big saver when I was little. And then that's how I got to do things. Like I went to space camp, threw myself a Sweet 16. So a couple like big things, but I didn't have a job because I was so busy with after school activities that I didn't have time. And the deal that we had at home was like, my mom's like, you just have to participate and be busy. I don't care if it's something that makes money or doesn't. So I was always doing extracurriculars, and my brother chose to get a job at the library and make money because he wanted a car though. But I always knew I was moving to New York City, so I didn't need a car.
All right. So as far as, you know, your podcast, Guys We Fucked podcast, I feel like I gotta ask, what was your situation with boys at this time? Are we dating? Are we fucking? What's happening with the boys?
I didn't date or fuck in high school at all. Just not even. I mean, I had one boyfriend. Actually, I had a boyfriend at the time of my Sweet 16. But when I say I didn't date anyone from my town because I was absolutely disgusted at the idea of dating someone from Union High School. And the boyfriend I had at that time, I had met in New York City. I had technically met him in North Carolina when I was an extra on Dawson's Creek.
Oh my God.
That's where I had technically met him, but it just happened that I have a thing where kind of no matter where I am in the America or in the world, I always gravitate towards East Coast people. So I just keep meeting New Jersey, Philly, New York people over and over again. No matter, it's a magnet. I can find them anywhere. And so I met him like in Extras Holding in Wilmington, North Carolina. and we just hit it off. We spent a couple days like just hanging out together on set, and then continued hanging out when I was back in Jersey and he was back in New York City. I would take the train in and visit him, and we were dating for like, I mean, I don't know, it felt like a long time, but you know, it was high school, so probably max 6 months, you know.
Yeah, but 6 months in high school, you're like, this is the love of my life.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I threw some of them out because they were just too much, even though I know you're not supposed to throw out old love letters, but like we had some AOL chats that would go all night, some email exchanges that were very passionate.
oh my, I mean, truly, like when I think back to like some of those like late night AIM chats that I'd have with a boy, it's like, I don't know if I've ever like bared my soul to that level, like to anyone in any other capacity.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this guy, he was a year younger than me, so he was 15 when I was 16, but we were very, like, he was very adult. I mean, he was also very wealthy. I have a history of also, I think because I don't care about other people having money, they also gravitate towards me. So the first couple of my boyfriends, and I'm talking about like, not like a little bit, like fucking very rich. Like he was like, his family was like new.com money. And he lived on like the Upper West Side in this like, and I didn't understand, you know, how much money you have to have like a house-sized apartment in New York City. Yeah. And so I guess it didn't impress me as much at the time, but now looking back on it, I'm like, this kid lived in a multi-million dollar apartment on the Upper West Side. And I would visit him there. And, you know, he took me to places, like I remember he took me on a date to Cozy, which is, you know, just a sandwich place, but it felt very fancy to me to get pizza at Cozy, which is not even the thing to get now, knowing Cozy.
Yeah, I was like, okay, first of all, you got the pizza.
He told me to. I was like, all right.
It's like the upscale subway.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
Do you feel like, what do you think was the root of you not being interested in boys at your high school and wanting this more like cosmopolitan man experience?
I mean, I would think people were cute, but also I think it's mostly just like the style. A lot of people were kind of in that I'm white, but I dress like a rapper phase. You know, we all remember that phase when people would put on, you know, fake dialects and stuff, and it was just uncomfortable for us all. You know, again, back to Can't Hardly Wait, big Kenny Fisher vibes for everyone. So and I don't know, and like they were just like kind of immature, and you know, I was never someone who thought it was like fun or exciting for boys to be mean to me, because I had self-esteem the whole time. So I just like was completely not interested. And I was, you know, I was more interested in romance than sex. And there's, you know, I'm always a very sexual person. Like I remember the same, you know, sexy trio of divas and I went to see Cruel Intentions in high school, and it rocked our world. You know, we also, Studio 54 also came out during that time. So there's a lot of these like really sexual movies. But, you know, when you watch a movie like that, you know, the expectations that you have for what sex and romance are going to be are really high, and also like really drama filled. Yes. So I was just not scratching that itch in any way with anyone who presented themselves at Union High School. There was one guy, Lance, that I had a crush on, because he looked kind of like somewhere between like the Beast when he's the Beast and the Beast when he's the Prince in Beauty and the Beast. Kind of like stocky, like a stocky guy. He had longer hair, just, you know, quiet, mysterious. Like that's always my type to this day.
Maybe cursed, we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, like wasn't going to prom, like as a statement, you know, these kinds of things. And I remember I like slipped in my number in the hallway after like lunch, and you know, in the cafeteria, and he actually called me that night, and I couldn't believe it worked, because I was just like truly taking techniques I had found in movies. Like that's how I was learning everything, because the internet was still very new, so there wasn't the plethora of information that there is now. And we talked for like 2 hours, like a really long time. And then it kind of like fizzled from there. But my friends and I would do things like, one time we made a fake pizza delivery to his house just to catch a glimpse of him. We like dressed my friend Gabe up with like some kind of a fake gold chain. This is our vision of a pizza delivery man. I don't know. Like a baseball cap and a fake gold chain. And I went to the recycling bin in my house and gotten a pizza box. And I was like, you know, and my friend Gabe is like walking up, holding it this way, dangling. And we're like, the cheese is dripping. The cheese is dripping. We're like, mime this better. And Paula and I were like in the backseat of the car, looking over the window just to get a glimpse of Lance coming to receive this fake pizza delivery. And that's the kind of stuff that we were doing. And that was like so much better than drugs or alcohol. Like those are my fondest memories.
Hello, everyone. Today's episode of the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast is brought to you by Magic Spoon. If you can't tell by sort of the sleepiness in my voice and the sleepiness all over my face and the undoedness of my hair, I am coming at you right first thing in the morning. And I don't have any Magic Spoon because I ate all of my Magic Spoon. And I'm very sad about that because Magic Spoon, it's the perfect way to start your day, friends. It's got 0 sugar, 11 grams of protein, and only 3 net grams of carbs in each serving. So you get that full, I'm a kid and I'm having a bowl of cereal before going out on my day energy without the sugar crash, bad bloating feeling, hurting tummy, etc., that comes along with having a bowl of full sugar cereal. Magic Spoon also has 4 flavors. They've got cocoa, fruity, frosted, and blueberry. Once again, hearkening back to your favorite flavors of childhood. And it tastes amazing. It's honestly too good to be true. It has no business being as tasty as it actually is. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. All of these things in one cereal. It's really, truly incredible. And I am actually going to purchase some more when I'm done recording this ad. Speaking of purchasing Magic Spoon. What do you think of that segue? That was pretty good. Go to magicspoon.com/roast and grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code ROAST at checkout to get free shipping. Fun fact, I'm going to use our promo code when I go to buy more Magic Spoon. Because it's like, why not give back to myself in a way in these trying times? You know what I'm saying? So, and Magic Spoon is so confident that their product is the best, that it's backed by a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. They'll just give you a refund. So that's magicspoon.com/roast. Use the code ROAST for free shipping. We thank Magic Spoon for sponsoring this podcast. Oh my God, it's so early in the morning and I'm tired. Where's my cereal?
Catch a glimpse of him, like just to see him come to the door.
Like so romantic. I love it. I'm very much a voyeur because I feel like when I usually get to know people, they disappoint me, which is so sad. But I love kind of just observing people for a long time, which sounds like scary, but just to see what they're like when you're not around and like how they exist. I always found that to be very interesting. So
the picture I'm getting of you as a teenager is like the businesswoman at the beginning of a rom-com who like, it's like, but Kathleen, you haven't been on a date in 2 years. And she's like, I'm working on my company.
Yeah. I can certainly have a lot of fun, but I've always been kind of adulty. Like I've always had a plan. I always have things to do. I'm not just like into like frivolous silliness. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's lots of things to get done. Why am I like wasting time? I never went through a phase when I was like out of control. Like for a good part of high school, all my friends were annoying me with their immaturity. So I was like best friends with my mom. Like, didn't care.
You're like, these are unserious. Like, they're just...
Yeah, I was annoyed because like when everyone went through this phase where they were interested in boyfriends and interested in being popular, I was like, you guys disgust me. I'm going to go hang out with my mom. And when you guys get a better head on your shoulders, we can reconvene. So
That's so funny. So how did you end up being an extra on Dawson's Creek? To walk me through that journey.
Even scarier. My mom had a real obsession with the show and a crush on Josh Jackson, who famously played Pacey Witter on Dawson's Creek. So much so that she told us we were going on a vacation to Wilmington, North Carolina, which weird choice, but we weren't a big vacation family. Like I've never even laid in a hammock until like 2 years ago. Like we would always go to, like, this is part of the reason why I'm no fun. I talk about it on stage, but like we would always go on educational vacations. So like an example of a real vacation the Fishers went on was to the house where Edgar Allan Poe wrote The Raven. That was a real vacation. Never been to an island, never been out of the country. I didn't go out of the country until I graduated college. And that was because I begged my mom to go to Romania. And yeah, I just never, I mean, like the most tropical thing was like Disney World. Other than that, it was like, you know, Colonial Williamsburg or, you know, a trip where we're going to go to 3 museums. I think I convinced my mom to take me to the Andy Warhol Museum. So that was like a big win for me, but I mean, still it was educational. So yeah, that's what was going on. And then my mom was very into, like, when AOL first started and there was like message boards and stuff, she got really obsessed with the show Dawson's Creek and would hang out on these message boards and made all these internet friends, which was fine because at the time I had also all throughout high school, which was also taking up some of my time. I was the sole writer, creator, editor of a weekly Spice Girls newsletter called Wannabe Weekly.
Oh, wow.
And I would spend legit, I mean, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a week putting this together. It would come out Saturday mornings, never missed a week. Like I was upset. Like I was like, this has to come out. And I would later meet a couple people who were subscribers to that easy. And so it made me very happy. But yeah, my mom was obsessed with Dawson's Creek. She said we were going to take a trip to Wilmington, North Carolina, and kind of like midway through the drive down there, she tells me that I'm going to be an extra on Dawson's Creek, even though that's not something I asked for or wanted to do. And she did it as like, she like manipulated me and tricked me into being an extra because I was the kid. So they needed kids for the high school scene, not adults. So she could get closer to Josh Jackson. I mean, this might be a punishable offense in some states.
I mean, it is crazy because when you said, like, when you were beginning this story, what I thought you were going to say is that you were a fan of Dawson's Creek.
I liked the show, but not that much. I didn't need to be on it, you know? I just was enjoying it.
I assume that you pursued this. So to find out that it was fully just your mom living vicariously through you.
Yeah, not only did she not want to buy me, she tricked me in the car, tricked me. And the catch is, not only did this happen once, it happened again the next summer. I was tricked 2 times.
Did you go? Were you on Dawson's Creek again? Okay, well, you know what? Tricked me into being an extra on Dawson's Creek once, shame on you. But tricked me into being an extra on Dawson's Creek twice. I
was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, I don't know. It was... I don't know, but I was like, yeah, there's like, yeah, happened. I was like, are you kidding? This is, and because one time my brother was one time it was just me and my mom, and then one time my brother was there too, I believe.
Was the boyfriend that you eventually got, was he a big Dawson's Creek person, or was he just pursuing extra work?
I think the story with him was he was just so, like, his family was just rich and knew everyone. So I think they were in the area, and it was like through a family friend. See, North Carolina is a right to work state. So it's a little bit easier to be an extra. And it was kind of just a lot of locals signing up. You didn't have to go through the same paperwork that you would have to go through in a place like New York City. So it was kind of like you could just put in a request because there wasn't so many people in Wilmington that wanted to work on the show that if you were coming to town, like the casting director would make sure you got on. And it was fun. Like I got to, be in a classroom scene with Katie Holmes. And that was like my big moment because we were all in extras casting. And the director of the episode came in and he scanned the room and he chose me. He was like, this girl needs to be in the classroom scene. And I was like, oh, I guess you can tell I'm not from around here.
Well, You can tell that I have performance experience. So.
Yeah. So it was fun, but I was like fully annoyed that that's what was going down. I don't like being lied to.
Now, so this actually, based on the picture of your teenage self that I'm getting, this seems maybe like you wouldn't have done it. But did you try to parlay this into any popularity at school? Were you like, oh, by the way, I'm appearing on Dawson's Creek as an extra? Or did you just like lean back and let people spot you behind Katie Holmes or not?
I mean, I told my friends and stuff. It became more of a funny story to tell much later in my life. At the time, I was just like frustrated with my mom about it, you know, especially because I was always annoyed because I was such a good rule following, you know, a straight A getting student. And I would let her, you know, I would let my parents know that. I go, you know what, other kids in the school really are acting like jackasses. You don't know. I was like, you don't know how good you got it, guys.
Yeah.
And then also, like, as I'm older, on the like on the flip side, like also like they just did a really extraordinary job parenting, and I had a healthy home life, which was why I was behaving well. So, you know, that also came around and explained itself to me later. But at the time, I was taking full credit for how great I was.
Yeah. You were just like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm extremely mature and well adjusted. You're welcome. And it's actually the other way around.
Yeah.
You said that you're a rule follower. Were you drinking or anything at all during this time? Were your friends?
The only time I drank in high school was there was the series finale of Sex and the City went down, I believe, my senior year of high school. And I asked my mom if for the party that we were having at my friend Gabe's house, if I could have a cocktail. I asked her. And she said yes. And we literally like made it. We didn't have any of the stuff all we had was like alcohol. And we found like this old mason jar in Gabe's parents' garage that like had been used to like hold like nuts and bolts. And we emptied it out and like we rinsed it out. And that was like our shaker. Like it was, you know, we made like really makeshift cosmopolitans. And I had one drink and I had asked my mom first. So I just wasn't interested. I was having a good time. Like, and I wasn't, you know, there was no feelings I needed to mask. Like there was no interest for me. And my friends, I just had really creative friends, and we had so many other things that we were doing that it just never really came up, honestly.
So you said you and your friends used to make like videos, etc. Were these like kind of like sketch comedy? Like what was your...
We would do a lot of parody, very into like, because I've always been, had my finger on the pulse of pop culture, been very into it. So I remember we made Dawson's Creek the musical. That was one summer. We would always have a production, and I was always the director. We would have something, we would get all the people, and like they would be like, this would be like going on for a week. They'd be reporting to set daily. They'd be in and out of my house. Like my mom just knew there'd be some production going on that would be shooting in my bedroom. I had a really big bedroom because I had the attic. So you know, like a lot of people could fit in there. So we would shoot up there, and then we would shoot in my backyard. And then, you know, maybe in the center of town, we would do some shots. But we did Dawson's Creek the musical, and then we did the Blair fucking Witch Project, because that was kind of, I mean, that was a groundbreaking film when I was in high school.
And like easy for a bunch of teenagers to parody, because it's just like,
wasn't that well shot to begin with. So very easy.
Exactly. You just run around, you do the close-up shot, all that stuff. My friends and I did a Breakfast Club parody called the Mid-Morning Snack Club. I wish that sometimes I wish that I had the videos, and then sometimes I'm like, I'm glad that they're gone and I can just remember them in my head and be like, oh, that one was so funny. And not actually watch it and be like, oh my God. Not funny at all.
I was doing a lot of like, I did like I remember I did a kind of a, you know, Wayne, everyone always aspired to have like a Wayne's World type, you know, cable access TV show. My friend Ellen and I did this show called Party People, where we were just like two ladies who loved to party, and we would let you know how to party the best. That was another one. Cause I had gotten a camcorder, like a VHS tapes, so I could kind of like piece things together and make actual videos. I was always kind of into filmmaking, which, you know, I would later go on to get an actual BFA in filmmaking, but that was part of it. And then we would do like music video parodies. I remember we did some like Destiny's Child videos. I posted that on Instagram a while ago.
Back in the day, me and my friends used to make videos. We made like this feature long film at one point that we like wrote and made all the characters together and all of this stuff. I mean, it didn't make any sense. We couldn't put it anywhere because all of the music was copyrighted. Like,
yeah.
Like it was, but there's something that was like so pure about that time of like, yeah, I'm gonna make a feature film and put all my friends in it. And now as like adults who are actually in the industry, it's like, okay, well, I guess if I want to make a feature film, I have to get in contact with this person and try to get it greenlit by this person, and I have to sell it and all that stuff. And it's like, it's kind of fun to think back to that time where it's like, no, my summer project is that I'm making a Dawson's Creek musical with all of my friends and we're going to shoot it in my attic.
Yeah. I was always getting a lot of stuff done. Nothing was in the way. Nothing holding me back.
All right, so let's take a minute to go through the photos of yours that we haven't looked at yet. Is this one of your educational vacations?
Yeah, I believe so. I was trying to remember. I picked this one more because the shirt I'm wearing is hilarious. And like, this was during a time when I think I was already in college, but because I was doing teen stuff as in like actual teenage years. And I was only 17 when I started college, but this was very early on. And I was so obsessed with Dane Cook that like I had pictures of him all around like my dorm bed. And I actually truly believed in my head that he would love me too if he just met me. Like I was like, it's only the fact that we don't know each other that's keeping us apart.
Yes.
Would 100% fall for me. And now actually having met and knowing Dane Cook a little bit, I'm not Dane Cook's type at all. So I was very wrong on that, literally. But he has been so nice. And I told this story. I got to tell the audience up in the main room at the Comedy Store about my like serious crush on Dane Cook, and he was backstage and he heard it because I told it right before I brought him on stage. That was like a very full circle moment for me, and I was still embarrassed to tell him, but he was like very sweet and like came on stage and gave me a hug. But like my friends made me an iron-on shirt with Dane Cook and a heart, and then hearts around it. And I loved it. So that's why I picked that. But yeah, I think we're in Boston, and this is a statue around Harvard University, or in that area, in the Boston area. I'm sure seeing historical things. I don't even know. It's not like I toured Harvard or had any aspirations of going there. So I don't know why we were there, but
yeah. So, okay. At this point, you're in film school. You love Dane Cook. You're surrounded by images of Dane Cook. Are you pursuing comedy at all, or are you still
comedic filmmaking? So I went to the School of Visual Arts. Home base is 23rd Street in New York City. To be a filmmaking with a concentration in directing, and I was like, there was only 2 people making comedic films, and I was one of them. I always thought it was odd that I went to film school and I thought everyone would be wanting to make comedic films. Most people were making drama, a couple people made horror, a couple people made comedy, and so that was very interesting to me. But yeah, so it was always comedic aspirations, but in different ways.
All right, let's talk about this one.
We had a yearly Halloween window painting contest in my town where you were just assigned one of the businesses. You got the whole window, they gave you paint, and you could do whatever you wanted. And like, I'm not super artistically inclined, so I would always try to make mine funny or like a little nod to pop culture. Survivor was very big at the time, so that's what I've also done. Like I did like the Spice Ghouls one year. Like I just like to do like a little pop culture thing, and it's not so bad that you can't tell what it is.
Frankie votes at the tribal council. Yeah. For those who are listening to the audio version, it's Frankenstein, and he is voting at the tribal council in a Survivor type situation. I think it's very clear.
Yeah. So I would do that. I just loved anything where I could somehow work more on the weekends, and I would make anything fun not fun. So I would just be like forcing myself to do this. I don't even know why. I just loved. I just had a real hunger to achieve things from a young age.
And to like show your work, to be like, and now look at what I came up with. I bet all of you dum-dums are drawing pumpkins, and I've created a whole world here.
Like, yeah, I always wanted to be unique. I always wanted to do something out of the box. Yeah, and like, as hard as I worked at, I'm never one of those people who's like too humble to show it off, or like, oh no, I couldn't possibly. It's like, yeah, no, I worked really hard on this, so please look at it.
Yeah. This looks like it's another play.
Yeah, this was a straight play. So this is kind of the example. You can see how intricate this set is. And
yeah,
part of being part of the theater company was that anyone you see on stage also had to spend X amount of hours working on building the set. And the guy in the collared shirt behind me, that's Steel Burkhart, who would go on to be on Broadway.
I was about to say the set for this and the set for the other one is like night and day.
Yeah, because the other one was a summer one. So I mean, we only had a couple weeks to put that together, and it was also like no air conditioning, like for in that school. Like it was like we were really pushing it. But this one, we would get. This was like where we were competing for awards, and this was a straight play. I think this was Bone Chiller. I believe my role was Eloise Ainsley. I was an older rich woman. You can tell by my stance and my business suit.
You're embodying it. You're putting forward the character. Yeah, I remember every episode of the podcast I talk about the time that my school did Wizard of Oz and I was Glinda, and now is the time in this episode where I'm going to do that. But for when we did Wizard of Oz at my school, we ordered these backdrops from Las Vegas that were like professional level. We got like a flying machine. It was like crazy. Nice. We did like this crazy level production. The next year, we had run out of money, and we could not do that because the teacher said that he was retiring, and then he did not retire. And just like there was no money. So this is the picture that I'm getting of teen Corinne. Like it's really interesting because it seems like you had a lot of confidence. It seems like you knew what you wanted, kind of no bullshit. And there's like a maturity to a lot of the stuff you're talking about and the decisions that you were making that is really interesting to me. So we actually have one more picture.
This is, my friends in my hometown gave me the nickname, and it's fine because I'm Jewish, Halloween Nazi. And that is because I made Halloween so serious that, of course, it was not fun for anyone else. I was taking costumes very seriously. I was, so this is, in this picture, I am dressed up as, of course, Cyndi Lauper from her album cover, She's So Unusual. Another theme in my life was that I was like doing things and knew about things that no one knew who the fuck this was. They were like, what are you, an 80s girl? I go, honestly, I don't know who raised you or what kind of an education you had, but I have no time for you. So
I'm actually a very specific 80s girl, and I'm actually an iconic 80s girl from an iconic 80s album, and you are ignorant.
Yeah, because I was like, actually, I nailed it piece by piece. If you compare this to the cover of She's So Unusual, the stance, everything is there. And the fact that you don't know that just shows me that you had a bad home life. So.
But this is why you can't be dating the boys at your high school. This is why you have to be dating the boy you met as an extra on Dawson's Creek who lives in the city, who has some freaking culture.
Right. Exactly. I needed some culture in my life desperately. I was kind of notoriously friends with teachers. Like one of my best friends was like my humanities teacher, Mr. Laird. I would just like go hang out with him as he watched over chess club after school, to get some real intellectual conversation going on.
So yeah, exactly. I feel just very like 13 going on 30 for your whole life.
Yeah.
So at the end of the podcast, I always ask the same question. I'm very interested to hear your answer because it does feel like Teen Corinne kind of had it going on a little bit. But if you could speak to teenage Corinne today, what would you tell her?
Great job. Like, honestly, it's so funny because like with the title of this podcast, I was kind of asking, I was like, well, okay, like, did I actually have to, like prepare roast jokes about myself? Because it's so funny. Like, I don't really, the same things that are roastable about me then are still roastable about me now. And it's not like I don't acknowledge them, but they also are like the things that make me me. So there's nothing that I'm like, I'm ashamed of or embarrassed of. Like, it's definitely funny, but like, I like loved the life that I had. And, because I think the things that we regret are things that we do to appease others. And I never did that. I did exactly what I wanted to the whole time. They could, like, you know, even when my guidance counselor was like, you know, maybe you want to go and major in liberal arts instead of filmmaking because it's so specific. I just like said no along the way to anyone who, you know, I said no to everything that, like, I just always knew in my heart what I needed to do, what path I needed to follow. And I had no problem saying no to people who would try to steer me in other directions. And therefore, like, I just didn't have any regrets, really. So.
Oh, yeah. Damn, that's so cool. Well, Corinne, it's been amazing talking to you. This was so fun. And for everyone listening at home, this has been the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast.